Is that my couch?
I think I'm a clone now. There's always two of me just hanging around. I think I'm a clone now.
So, yeah, the DLC. Like I said, I had absolute hell getting them to work. They constantly bugged up and crashed, often refused to load, and would shut down every time my console lost its internet connection due to Electronic Arts' bullshit account authorization restrictions for that crap. Comcast has been throttling the internet in my area to incentivize their data cap bullshit. Though the whole NEA account is required to play our games on a console nonsense has given me nothing but grief for years, as it permits backdoor access to any system the account is connected to, so hackers can swipe the information on it for their own uses, because the security protections on their side are utter garbage. Guess who has two thumbs and thanks to Electronic Arts had his identity stolen? This guy! There is still citation of this happening 5 years later!
But yeah, I eventually got them to work, and this video will cover Leviathan, Omega, and Citadel Shore Leave, since I covered From the Ashes at the end of the last video.
But I'll tell you right now, Leviathan is kind of crap in the same way most of the game is crap.
Now admittedly, I like the first part of it being a mystery looked into by Dr. Bryson, and now he's gathered a bunch of esoteric data and artifacts from over the millennia that just doesn't make sense. The interface orbs we've encountered a few times, footprints of other, Reaper-like creatures when only Nazara was stalking out in the depths of space, and activity of the Rachni during the war of all things.
Thing is, though, he's mostly a crackpot conspiracy theorist with nothing. It's only when the Leviathans try to kill him through his servant does anyone even get a lead.
You shouldn't be here. The darkness can't be breached.
Which leads to my next question. If they can take control of anyone that is near these orbs, then why not mind control the entire research team into sabotaging and then dismiss such? All this does is actively tip people off to their existence. See? This logic makes the robot zombie's head explode.
With the assistance of Edie, we look over their research notes to try and find other members of the research team. First of which being Dr. Garneau, which takes us to an asteroid mining facility, where we are helped by the staff.
Yes, welcome to TGS Mineral Works. How can we help you?
Oh my god, we've walked into an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I actually like the directing of these conversations, as since a lot of the game has been bad acting, it adds a layer of subtle wrongness to things, which wonderfully offsets it and makes such be actively creepy instead of just the same old bad line reads. Thing is though, this is the passive form of indoctrination we saw back on Vermeer, so it's consistent with them being mentally dominated by an outside power, which is eventually revealed to be another one of these spheres that the Reapers are after. But when they're destroyed, they instantly free everyone from the power holding them? What? Though what's worrying, this facility has been dominated like that, no one in or out, for 10 years.
Where have they been getting supplies from? Have people visiting just not noticed how strange the place is? Moreover, where the hell did they get thermoclip technology? Yeah, Leviathan is yet another part of the games where you go to places which should not have thermoclips, and yet everyone still has thermoclips. Plot holes due to game design, everybody!
This tips us off to the spheres being the bad thing, and also that Dr. Bryson's daughter, Anne, may be a key in all this as Garneau, until his death, was still in contact with her. Thus it's back to the lab to find her location, which is yet another research outpost built into the side of a mountain.
Why? Why would you ever build something like that? Was it too difficult to build scaffolding up to all the interesting things on it?
Because the only reason they're arranged like that is to study pictographs on the walls placed there by peoples native to the world that are now extinct.
Except, here's the problem with that. See, there's this thing called erosion. It's when water or the particulates in wind wear away at rock surfaces slowly over time. You may have noticed in surfaces like, say, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, where their structures are a mix of uniform and jagged pieces on their exteriors. Well, those are examples of what happens to such over the course of thousands of years. These pictographs are far older than that!
But wait, Daps! Archaeologists have found paintings in caves that are much, much older than that, and they're mostly intact.
That's because caves have far more static environmental conditions, which have allowed them to be preserved as they're not constantly being exposed to the elements. The broken artwork in the ruins around the shroud followed that, whereas these images are only in places where they should have been worn away already. You know, you could have set this mission in the cave.
The Reapers try to interfere with the orb at Anne's site, which we destroy, but not before Anne has her brain hacked and a Leviathan speaks through it, to tip us off again that the orbs are keys to getting them.
You know, from what we learn of their reasoning for controlling people, that proves itself to be really damn short-sighted.
Once back at the lab, Anne agrees to help us by interfacing with the orb so we can track the signal. It's a bad idea, but without any others, we let her go through with it, and we perform a pretty monstrous act as we force her to maintain the connection and conversation as we argue with the Leviathan over the cycle and the war. And while we do get the information, this, amongst everything we have ever done, this is admittedly where we cross the line, completely and utterly. Which leads us to 2181 Dysphonia, which I swear we passed in a prior game, only for the shuttle to land on an existing crashed ship, which has everything we need on it. Talk about contrivance. Especially since this ship went missing years ago. You know, before they had thermal clip technology or had the robots around. Reapers have of course followed us here, which just further alludes to the core problem of this whole story.
As the only reason we found them is because they keep giving us the evidence they existed. If they shut off contact or ignored these leads, we would have nothing to go on. Had they never made content through their orbs or tried to force control like they did, only passively skimmed the consciousness of everyone around them, no one would have been the riser. But, much like is the issue with Javik, they suffer from a superiority complex and ego that expects them to just be obeyed, thus resulting in the direct confrontation which led us to them.
Hell, keeping the ship here is doubly evidence of that, instead of sending it off elsewhere as a big flag to their presence, even before the probe we sent right at them. Despite trying to be in hiding, they never actually go out of their way to hide their presence by means that would actually hide their presence. Meaning that the Reapers have not found them in all of these cycles despite being in plain fucking sight is pretty damn asinine. Anyways, we take a pressurized diving exoskeleton suit similar to ones we've seen Cerberus using earlier in the game.
Where the hell did those things come from in the first place? I know we had issues with the robots last game, but those at least were given an explanation in narrative of supporting existing manpower as security forces.
Well, we use it to go down deep, where a Leviathan just comes up to meet us. Again, for a race trying to hide, you do it very badly. They try to pull the same superior lifeform crap the Reapers do, and with their size and mental powers, yeah, they are more evolved, but they're not exactly smarter. Still, this one invades our minds, telling of how the Reapers fear us, somehow, despite having no way of knowing any of that.
Which kind of once more highlights the discourse in the narrative. We are supposedly special, important, uniquely qualified, a personal threat to the Reapers, but our actions through most of the game have been small, unimportant, superfluous in the grand scheme, and ruled by those around us or done without our involvement. If we are supposed to be this big, important figure, then why does it feel like we do little to nothing towards actually progressing that end?
The Leviathans give their backstory on how they were a precursor Apex race who effectively let lesser ones do as they wished, as long as they played tribute. But when the tribute races accidentally created synthetics, they didn't program them correctly, so war popped up. During war, no tribute, so they created the Space Baby to find the solution.
Yes, they created synthetic intelligence to solve a problem with their slaves creating synthetic intelligences which revolt against them, which then revolted against them. This is like an SNL sketch gone horribly wrong. Wait, no, horrible sketch comedy has been synonymous with Saturday Night Live for decades.
I'll actually be addressing this later when we actually get to the Space Baby, but while many think this explains away the Brat as nothing but a rampant malfunctioning AI, that does not work at all for me, but instead devolves everyone from the Eldritch Being Space Cthulhu mythos down to just another bunch of races with special powers that proclaim their superiority when we only ever actually see evidence to the contrary.
Especially as this DLC was released after the rampant, frothing hatred of the ending came about in order to cover the supposed plot holes. It didn't work, because all it does is turn this into...
Your father made you wrong! No! Yes!
Shepard somehow convinces them, I'd really like to know how, since his words are not in any way something that would be able to sway them. It's actually the second worst speech after the opening levels. To join in the fight, in hopes this too would end.
Really, I'd have them insist in the Crucible. They know more about the Reapers than any other race. They could have been the ones to refine it to do something far better than the options we are given.
The ending of this arc shows Leviathans can supersede any and all control a Reaper has over its thralls and render them inert, killing the one in the area with no effort.
Wow, with that kind of power, it's a wonder they were hunted to extinction when there were only a handful of Reapers to begin with. As, remember, one harvested race, that's only supposed to equal one Reaper. As after that, they kept collecting races over millions of years into their current legion of, what, 800? 1600? I doubt they have more than 2,000 total Reapers, and certainly the majority of those have to be Destroyer-class ones that this game shows are pretty easily killed by Thresher Maws, standard weapon bombardment, and later an Infantry-class portable nuke. The Leviathans now show they can, with a thought, disable the Dreadnought-class Reapers. So they really should have this war in the bag, as the Leviathans can shut them down, so ships with weapons can now one-shot them.
Honestly, I find the Leviathan DLC just awful. What was meant to be lore expansion on the Reaper's origins is just a retconned mess, and the actions of the Leviathans make no sense in how they sabotage their own efforts to hide. Once again, it doesn't seem as if Shepard's accomplished anything, as he was given the clues and just went, "Come on!" to the giant space squids to get them to comply.
So fortunate that the next bit of material takes us back to Omega. With Arya, of course.
And we're sadly on our own for this, as Arya's mercs pick us up, alone in the Citadel, and she has good reason for that. She doesn't trust anyone else but us.
Even though the rest of the team is why we are as good as we are. I guess the idea is she doesn't want too many dissenting voices, only the ones with the rep to back it up.
The Omega DLC is actually very good about setting up everything we need to know about the situation and goals up front before or as we encounter them. No need to justify them after the fact, it just knows what it wants to do and rolls with it. Especially Arya's motivations and all this in reclaiming Omega. It's more than it being something that was hers. Omega, to her, represents freedom. From rules, from obligations. As long as you don't cross someone above you, you're free to do and work and play as you please. A place of open rebellion against the laws and codes and expectations of her race and others. And while she may be a tyrant, the difference is her tyranny permits that autonomy. You don't fuck with Arya, as without Arya where she is, the freedom the place provides can be stolen away, as the Cerberus leader Oleg has now shown its people.
Omega, to me, contains an enormous amount of multifaceted symbolism and complexity to Arya's character beyond the expectations of her archetype, and really gets you to understand her perspective.
You don't have to agree with it, especially her perspective of everyone around her as disposable.
But you see an arc here brought simply from people telling her no, and with good reason.
Her primary target is General Oleg, the man who ousted her, but there is a lot to do in order to get to him. First of which being, even getting on the station, as despite gathering a pretty sizable fleet, her commanders still say they're outgunned 4-1.
Which once again begs the question of, how the hell does Cerberus have all of these resources?
A pity you left, Cerberus. We all sabotage ourselves in nefarious ways. Perhaps deep down you fear success.
We were never with Cerberus. Okay, Arya, I'm letting you have free reign within reason on this, but if you don't kill that bastard, I will.
Arya's plan is to rush in past the ships up close to Omega, her ships equipped with shield disruptors, but the plan goes foobar when it showed Cerberus actually upgraded the station's defenses with Thanix cannons?
Oh sure, they actually use the damn things, but see it from any other military ships in cutscenes? Not a chance. I'm still not budging on this point. Main story, we never see them exist.
Well, whatever. The ship goes up, but we manage to use the escape pods to impact Omega, at which time Arya cedes control to us, for this is why she recruited us in the first place, as we're better at ground tactics.
Well, maybe ME2 Shepard. ME3 Shepard is established as pretty damn useless.
Our first goal is to shut down the outer defenses, which it takes us some time to get to, as we need to eliminate all the Cerberus grunts in our way. And it's nice that for the first time all game, there's an actual point to Cerberus being the bad guys we're facing.
Less justified as the Cerberus death fields. Where the fuck did they get those? Moreover, why did they install them all over the station?
I actually don't mind as much the Cerberus assassin droids. That actually makes a realistic amount of sense for their modus operandi, and where Cerberus could have gotten all its extra manpower. It's just too bad they're never seen nor used outside of this mission. Still, they didn't set up the death fields very well, as there are a lot of ways around them in the depths of the station, which Arya knows of, as does another figure.
Spirits, look who's back. Arya Talope.
Holy crap, that's a female Turian. Why is it the first time we've seen one?
I mean, they've been alluded to, thanks Garrus, but this is the first time one's actually appeared. The Krogan at least have a good reason for why they kept the women of their race sheltered due to the whole sterility issue, but Turian women? Active members of their military.
Okay, I am being unfair. The reason we didn't was with the previous games, there was insufficient time to program and memory space to include 2 different character models for all species. It's similarly why we didn't see male Quarians in ME1, nor ever see a female Volus. They decided to change that with the Omega and Shore Leave DLC.
But yeah, this is Nyreen, our other special party member for this campaign. And she and Arya have a sordid personal history. She's a Turian biotic. Turians do not like biotics amongst their forces. She left the military on bad terms after her abilities manifested and fell in with Arya, who helped her learn how to use her powers, during which time the two became lovers.
As Arya is full renegade and Turians are usually ridiculously paragon, it's pretty easy to tell why the two parted on bad terms. Just sad, as it's obvious she was, in a way, Arya's shoulder angel.
But Arya's tactics haven't left us with much to work with, meaning we need to recruit locals if we even want to reach the interim goal of shutting down the shield grids to free everyone else. And fortunately, one of the merc gangs, the Talons, is part of the Resisti. Nyreen goes MIA during this, as on the way to find the Talons, we see inconsistencies in their MIA, as drug traders with such resources abandoned erratically, which are all answered when it's revealed that Nyreen assumed control of the gang after Cerberus invaded, and is mostly responsible for their effectiveness in thwarting them. And as she doesn't trust Arya, it makes total sense why she didn't reveal this, but it takes some convincing to get Nyreen to consent to collaborate her forces with ours. Though with the threat of adjutants, it's odd she doesn't consider proposing a fair trade.
What? What are adjutants? Well, apparently Cerberus found another Reaper fight race beyond Omega 4 that was converted several cycles ago. It is not explained how they found them, considering we blew up the only Reaper base there. But apparently they can convert any biomass they come into contact with in the same means of Dragon's Teeth. Only instead of the cyberforming process resulting in a unique husk-like type depending on the race and how much biomass is used in the amalgamation, the adjutant template supersedes all of that.
They eviscerate their victims' DNA, converting them into more adjutants.
Yeah, this does not make any sense as explained, and actively contradicts the past means of how Reaper Tech cyberforms victims' bodies, as they actually say what is doing this is a virus, and viruses cannot convert organic material into mechanical matter. Then again, this is still Mass Effect 3, where the continuity of world building goes to die.
The adjutants were actually designed for the main campaign, but were considered too OP, so were cut out and then nerfed for this campaign, and in Omega were added back in as something Cerberus was experimenting with in an endeavor to control and breed them using Omega natives. Naturally, Arya and Nyreen are both very much pissed when they learn this. But yeah, to get Nyrene's support, Arya makes a speech to the entire station proclaiming her return, which does work to rile everyone up and make them desire to fight for their freedom, even if it is out of self-interest more than anything, which forces Nyreen's hand to keep civilians out of the worst of it. But now that we have the forces, the next step is to hit the main power core to shut down the death fields, which requires going all the way up to the mining facility at the top of the station, which harvests Ezo, and is infested with all the rampant adjutants.
Spirit!
Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, running, 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 running! Oleg, however, anticipated this attack, and set up more death fields around the facility to capture any infiltrators. But he's clearly underestimated how absolutely pissed Arya is at him, as she just tears a hole in the field with pure biotic force that allows us through to the main computer. It's rigged so that shutting down power to the fields will kill life support across the station, making us delay in shutting them down so as to not kill anyone.
There's an amusing line here if you're an engineer, where you just do all of this in an instant and snark at the idiocy of grunts. But really, this is why it was foolish to not let us bring the rest of the team, Arya, because it's not just Shepard alone that has made him successful.
Though the prompts here are completely confusing. You don't know whether pressing them will trigger you to kill the civilians, or put Arya and Nyreen in extended danger. Though the forced collaboration to survive has bonded the two back to at least the mutual respect level. Which just leaves the assault on Oleg's main headquarters, Afterlife. It's a long approach to the facility, but when we do arrive, it's surrounded by adjutants they succeeded in controlling. Crap. However, instead of a boss fight against them, Nyreen sacrifices herself, encasing them all in a biotic barrier, and sets off a chain of incendiary grenades. And more than anything else, this sets Arya off.
Unfortunately, you would not know why at all had I not mentioned that the two were previously in a relationship. I mean, the direction and staging of it with Arya's eyes wide with shock and the two locking gazes as Nyreen dies are perfectly indicative of the wordless final goodbye, indicative of such a personal connection. But you forgot to provide context to that within the framework of the campaign. I swear, even in the DLC, they screw this up.
But Arya's blind rage leads her into another of Oleg's traps. Arya restrained, and leaving us alone to release her restraints and fight off the other gathered Cerberus forces. I swear, this probably wouldn't have happened had we been allowed to bring the team, Arya. But when we do break her out, Oleg just admits defeat and surrenders himself to our custody.
Yeah, no. You played with fire, dude. You're getting burned.
You'll say anything to save your skin. Do you feel that, Oleg? That's death. Only inches away. Remember this feeling.
Though, to my surprise, Arya lets him live. I know, it surprised me too. But I guess, after losing Nyreen, some element of mercy has awakened within her, making her decide to spare someone so pathetic that he can't even defend himself without pawns, so he can possibly be used against Cerberus later.
A pity, though, that right now, I have no such inclination.
Execution.
I did, after all, say that if Arya didn't, I would. The campaign wraps up with Omega being cleared, Arya standing above Afterlife, with us asking her to mourn and respect the fallen, even before she gives up supplies. And things close out with another speech by her, recognizing how things with her are already shifting.
We may be bruised. We may be bloodied.
We are Omega!
The Omega DLC is great. If you're someone that, like me, really liked Arya's character in ME2, this serves as some great expansion on her. Though admittedly not as well as some of the other expanded universe material like Mass Effect Retribution, which features Arya's daughter being murdered by Kai Lang. Yeah. As I said, it still features a bunch of the narrative problems found in the rest of the game, but at the very least, those don't originate from it to exasperate everything else.
Which brings us to the Citadel DLC, which I lovingly call Shore Leave.
Now, to be clear, Shore Leave is massive. And I mean, I spent about 7 hours on it, and I still haven't done everything. I could easily spend that time again trying to do what I didn't get to say nothing about all the stuff I can't do, because I don't have the right paramour to unlock it, and the whole, Cashley situation with both of them dead.
On top of a fair amount of what I didn't have relegated to stuff like winning at the minigame and holodeck fighting arena that, frankly, I didn't have the time to do, since I lost about 20 to 30 hours of recording time with the damn gameplay resets I kept needing to do with this game to get footage.
Yeah, I ran out of time. So unfortunately, this is not meant to cover everything here, just what I think is a relevant bullet point.
Which all begins with Anderson giving us his apartment on the Citadel, and dear God, I would kill to live in a place like this. Seriously, I'd just take over and live at this study. I'd be happy with that. The reasoning for why everyone's off is twofold. First, to let everyone rest before the final push for Earth, and the second is because the Normandy left Earth in the middle of a refit, and all of that needs to be finished to have it in shape for the siege. To that end, since everyone's trying to relax, Joker invites us out to a sushi place infamous on the Citadel. Only for us to learn he didn't invite us. If that is not a warning flag, enter a panicked Alliance officer.
Commander Shepard, I'm Staff Analyst Maya Brooks. Alliance Intelligence. There are people trying to kill you.
Yeah, I think he's aware of that.
Alright, you sold me. This is such a cliche, but I am totally on board.
And yeah, it's not the usual suspects that come in after us. It's hired assassins we subvert, only to get blown through the glass bottom floors of the place as it's summarily trashed. Brooks guides us to safety through a locked down section of the region, needing to use Spectre access to bypass security, only to be cornered, and then saved. First by our paramour, who was first on the scene.
My rationale is they were nearby as we invited them along and they were running late.
And then more prominently by an angry Krogan. Erdnot Rex! Yeah, Rex was in the area due to council deliberations and came to join in the fun. Shore Leave allowing him to fully rejoin the party as we finally get the original band back together. Minus Cashley. As we evac back to the apartment for our hideout, Brooks is in full panic mode with the metal gel overdose on the side, with her explaining the full situation. We have had our personal information hacked and our identity stolen.
Again? Damn you, Electronic Arts!
And yeah, they need Shepard dead so they can use this information, such as our high clearance Spectre and Alliance Authority codes, with impunity as then they won't be reported until it's too late. Though destroying the Citadel's best sushi restaurant probably puts these goons high on the terrorist watch list.
A shame about the sushi place, though. It was a favorite.
I hear that.
Back during my pilgrimage, I used to walk around near that sushi place and watch the fish through the window. I knew they'd never let me inside, but I think to myself, someday, when I've proven my worth to the galaxy, I'll go there for dinner. And then, you broke their floor.
Everyone's called in to assist on this, with our first lead being the pistol we picked up from one of the assassins, which leads to a black market weapons dealer who operates behind the cover of a casino, named Elijah Khan. The casino is holding a war refugee event, meaning we get to 007 Ocean's 11 up this mission.
And maybe afterwards we can celebrate with Slurpees.
Brooke will serve as our infiltrator as everyone else is too tech-heavy and will be detected, which we keep suspicion off her as we mingle.
You're looking good.
Feels a little light without body armor, but it's soft to touch.
I really shouldn't have expected anything different for Corey in dress attire.
The interim has us disabling alarms and distracting guards in the same manner we did with Katsumi in her loyalty mission, which is enjoyable to me as I had fun with Katsumi's loyalty mission.
It's too bad Katsumi isn't here, though we do see her robbing the place later.
Eventually we get to Khan, only to reveal that he's dead, Jim.
All units, be on the lookout for Chris Pine or an overweight man in a toupee.
His drive has also been wiped, but we pull it to see what we can garner, alongside getting a call from the culprit. A suspiciously familiar visage at that. I swear we know this asshole.
You have nothing. All you can do is wait for the hammer to fall.
Why do this? What did I do to you?
I'm gonna take everything you have and everything you are.
Jeez, what a cliche. I hate this guy already.
So it's back to the apartment to wait for the tech experts to decrypt the drive, and at this point everybody's got to be hungry. Hell, we missed dinner, and the casino didn't even serve hors d'oeuvres. Talk about a cheapskate rich person event.
Now, if I can just find some chow around here, you'd think a pad like this would be stocked.
Well, we did only just move in, dude.
The information garnered from the drive shows that the Mercs are using Spectre access to enter the Citadel's archives, where they've stored dangerous and damning historical information. With it, they could dredge up old crimes, blackmail any number of dignitaries, even start a war at the worst possible time with the information held inside of it.
It will be the WikiLeaks scandal of 2186. Curse you, Edward Snowden!
So yeah, they can't be allowed to get what they want. All hands on deck.
That is the third greatest brick joke I have ever seen.
As I was saying, the entire team is coming with us on this one to deal with all the Mercs in one fell swoop. Only for us to still be ambushed and meet the nefarious, egotistical, narcissistic jackass leading them. So come on! Who's stupid enough to try and steal the identity of one of the most recognizable individuals in the galaxy?
Huh. Citadel shore leave. So I'm the asshole.
Yeah, it turns out this is a clone of Shepard, grown originally to be replacement parts in the event Project Lazarus needed them, who escaped and is now trying to take back the life he thinks should have been his.
Funny story with this. I think Clone Shepard is supposed to be reflective of ME3 canon Shepard. As I've said, there are a lot of inconsistencies with the main story's narrative, which imply events were in different paths than what the player chose. Most of which are reflective of them being a renegade jackass, with the depiction of them being ridiculed for being fully on board the Cerberus hype train.
And then in walks this jackass, where the only thing he's missing to be from the mirror universe is the goatee.
Never gave me my own lab! Never gave me nothing! Why do they get to have everything? I'm as smart as they are! I'm smarter even!
That, and without our exact memories, he'd never be able to pass as us to anyone that knows us.
Like you, Talazor of us, Normandy. I'm not sure whether to kill you with a bullet, or just take off your helmet and cough.
You're not surviving the night.
We follow him down into the archives, with several good scenes of the teams coordinating tactics against the Mercs, alongside seeing a bunch of the secrets in the archives, which only really reinforces my personal interpretation of the prior council being dicks.
Commander, I have cataloged 18 previously unknown historical events.
Where's the target, Cliff?
He is searching for a secret vault. He did not wish to be disturbed.
But unfortunately, we walk right into a trap. Literally everyone being sealed in the archival stasis tubes, as the clone gets exactly what he needed. Root access to the archives so he could change Shepard's personal information to use his readings. For you see, the clone has different fingerprints.
And major kudos to the writers on this one. Clones will have differing physical developmental signs than the person they are based on, and fingerprints and similarly scar tissue are not things easy to perfectly duplicate. Hell, I've got chunks of scar tissue on my left hand that would throw off any fingerprint reads I would have given before I gained such.
But one wonders, how could he do all of this? He needed more than this to be able to get down here. Moreover, this has all been reported so people would be on the lookout.
What do you think, Staff Analyst Brooks? Will the Alliance stop us?
I wouldn't know. I don't actually work for them.
And credit where it's due, I totally did not see this coming, as she didn't telegraph it at all.
But looking back on everything as she explains it, it all does make sense. As it tells she did give to her skill sets all show she does have the knowledge to be an infiltrator expert like this, and all the access to garner the materials to lead us around like puppets on strings, as she's the one who arranged the suicide mission dossiers. Everything as presented works magnificently, with no contradiction, only her just trying more and more elaborate schemes to get rid of us or shake the trail after she got our Spectre code, which eventually led us to this. Sealed in a vault, with no one coming to get us, while they go ahead and take the Normandy for themselves.
I should go.
Refresh my memory. Didn't we used to win these things back in the old days?
He said, I should go. Do I sound like that?
Then again, there's something to be said about failure being humbling. I mean, you don't really know your limitations until you failed. And there's not really anything wrong about losing to yourself, is there? You've got the same skills, the same stats. Really, the only thing that differs is how you developed as a person. For as Captain Picard said, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness, that is life. And really, that's why we have others around us, so that even if we fail, when it really matters, others will be there to pick up the slack.
Shepard, please! Why aren't you more worried about this?
Oh, Cliff, you still out there?
Yes, Commander.
I love this DLC.
So now it's a race to get back to the Normandy before they can steal it. But we only have one sky car.
What?
I wanted to go.
As did I. It seems I rarely get picked.
Do you really want to know, Edie?
Shepard, your clone has entered the ship and is attempting to...
She's supposed to do that?
I'm okay.
Really?
That's why.
Well, while we make it to the ship, the Normandy is locked up tight with Traynor just being kicked out by... us. Well, no time to console her and how she's only managed to grab her ridiculously expensive replacement toothbrush. We need to figure out a way to pry open the maintenance hats to get inside before they vent the airlock. If only we had some type of Mass Effect tool capable of moving the locks.
That is seriously the best brick joke ever. Of all time.
If you told me this morning that a toothbrush was gonna save the Normandy, I'd have been very skeptical.
Alright, now it's time to deal with evil me. Wait. Did he throw out all my model kits? That bastard!
Oh, now it's personal.
The final confrontation is, of course, in the shuttle bay, which just proves once more the idiocy of keeping all the weapons and gear down here. Especially after a long battle where the ship is only prevented from leaving the Citadel due to Joker and Cortez, then it ends with the safety barriers shut down, and both of us thrown off the edge of the landing deck. This, however, most highlights the difference between the true Shepard and the clone. Through all of this, Shepard has been helped out by the allies he's gained, those he's helped and placed trust in, the bonds he's forged over everything. He is the man he is today, made the success that made him a legend, because he had people he could trust having his back. As he is someone the entire galaxy can unite by. Alone, Shepard is nothing but a man, and a man will falter and die alone. Brooke is captured, being prepared to be turned over, but all the while trying to play the group to turn her free, use her for other pursuits, and we aren't buying a word of it.
Admit it, Commander. You'll miss me.
Execution!
Not at this range, I won't.
Worst shore leave ever.
Well, maybe throwing a party will lift your spirits.
And yeah, this is how the Citadel DLC concludes, with gathering everyone we can together for a house party at the apartment, getting every one of the main cast members together in one place to talk and play off of each other, so hijinks can ensue. At least after we get a call from Grunt.
Where have you been, dude?
A couple of squad mates broke me out for my birthday, tried lowering me down the side of the building on a rope. Anyway, we got some pictures on the Krogan Memorial.
In the Presidium?
Yeah, when CSEC got there, they were mad. Or maybe they were mad about their car being on fire. Can't remember.
Why was it on fire?
I threw my bottle of Ringcall at it. Pretty strong stuff. Went up like a bonfire. The CSEC guys jumped out. Then I figured they didn't want it, so I took it. We didn't get very far before they shut us down. Sprayed us down with riot foam. Didn't work so well on me.
And why's that?
'Cause I was on fire. You know, from the car.
Right. Sorry. So how did they catch you?
Got hungry. Bought some noodles.
Let me handle this. Officer, this Krogan is part of a secret Spectre task force. Operation Fire Cobra Claw.
Operation Fire Cobra Claw?
That's right. I can take it from here. Send me the bill for any damages.
That's what you've been signing for, Commander. You're lucky, Krogan. Don't let me catch you up here again.
So, how were those noodles?
A little spicy.
I love you, Grunt.
Citadel Shore Leave is the absolute best thing about Mass Effect 3, bar none. Better than curing the genophage, better than bringing peace between the Geth and Quarians. From start to finish, it is absolute fun and pure entertainment. If the rest of the game was up to this quality, I doubt the fanbase would have ever risen up as one to rage at this game as they did.
That and having it actually be part of the game instead of DLC, considering how little content is actually part of the main game, that even with the DLC, it only just barely equals the pre-DLC content of the last two. Granted, as this was the absolute last piece of Story Edition DLC for the game, many view this as BioWare's apology to the fandom over the ending and narrative contradiction bullshit, to not even address the blatant lack of conclusion concerning most of the cast and their inclusion more often than not seen as a nothing but afterthoughts, which this DLC then provides proper closure for with the expanded interaction we are allowed.
Whether it be Garrison Zaid trying to prep the apartment for any assault, but doing so in a way that would make the place lethal to everyone, Rex and Grunt double-teaming us with the shepherding.
Shepherd. Shepherd. Shepherd?
Multiple people talking about the relationships present in the group, various people trying their hands at cooking, James and Jack trying to out-butch each other, and that's just the party. After that, there's a collection of individual conclusionary interactions, be it Edie attempting to understand how to give an appreciative gift, us playing either wingman to Garrus or taking him out for a night at a club depending on whether you're paramour or not. Similarly, date night with Tally watching the long-alluded-to romance movie Fleet and Flotilla, with musical numbers. Javik and Shepard get drawn into the nonsense of a Blasto, the first Hannah Spectre, movie. Zaid tries to win a Crane game, Trainer and her rivalry with an Asari tactician, and memorial service held for Thane so Kolyak can see a grander perspective on the impact Thane's life made. Samara showing the breadth of her wisdom. It's all just around good stuff, and I can't even really find that much to critique of it. It's just so good I didn't even want to continue the game on from here. I wanted to skip the ending entirely and have this be how the game ends.
But unfortunately, we now have nothing left to prevent us from discussing the bastard space baby and the bullshit of the endings. So come back next time, where we finally put this damn thing to rest. God, this elevator is taking forever.
They shut down my favorite sushi place.
That's a shame.
Shepard, you didn't.